Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Experience Business at UL taster event by the Kemmy Business School. So my name is Fergal O'Brien and I'm going to MC. The event is for you, the students, and it's going to give you the opportunity to learn about our undergraduate programs and hear about what life is like as a Kemmy Business School student. Now, I suppose for you to get the most out of this evening's event, don't be shy. You can't be seen on camera and there's no requirement to speak. But you can ask any question that you want in the chat function at any stage throughout the event. You also have the option to post questions anonymously if you're really shy. But please participate in as much as you can to get as much as you can out of the event. So we'll answer some questions in the chat if we can, and we'll take more towards the end of the session. So that will allow us maybe to deal with the more complex questions by answering at the end of the session, depending on what the question is about. So in order to get the chat going, what might be a good idea is for you to put the name of your school in the chat just to give us a sense of where you're from. So like I said, my name is Fergal O'Brien and I'm really comfortable being here this evening promoting business at UL. I'm a lecturer in finance here at the business school, but I'm also a two-time graduate of the Kemmy Business School. So I've been through this system and I believe in it, and that's why I'm so comfortable being here tonight. I suppose I graduated out of our Bachelor of Business Studies and I went on to do a Master's of Business Studies at the Kemmy Business School. We have 3 programs that you might be interested in. We have a Bachelor of Business Studies, a BA in International Business, and a Law and Accounting degree. Now, these 3 programs are, I suppose, exceptional in terms of their academic quality and in terms of job prospects afterwards. And my colleagues will talk about them in more detail later. But I suppose we wanted to be informal tonight. It's very easy for us to think about what ye need. But I suppose I want to put myself back when I was your age and try to think about my decision in terms of CAO, etc. So I was 16 doing the Leaving Cert. I did physics, chemistry and applied maths. I never studied business. And I suppose one of the reasons I studied business is I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it allowed me the space and time to figure out exactly where I wanted to go. So throughout my business journey, I was always able to make choices and position myself in terms of where I needed to be. So ultimately, I actually didn't even start off in UL. I started off doing 2 years in the IT in Tralee. Then I came and did 2 years in UL, got my Bachelor of Business Studies, went on to do a Master's of Business Studies, and ultimately did a PhD in the UK. Did I plan any of that when I was your age? Absolutely not, because I hadn't a clue what I wanted to do. So I suppose the real message I give you at the outset is one of the great advantages around a business degree is it gives you the space and the time that you probably need at that age to figure out where you want to be. And our students will tell you about that later in terms of their experience. So what's going to happen next? Well, you're going to hear from Rob Ford, who's the Director for Undergraduate Studies and responsible for the Bachelor of Business Studies. So that's one of our programs. You'll also hear from Kieran Gallery, who's the Course Director for the BA in International Business. And we'll allude to Law and Accounting intermittently throughout the evening. You'll also hear about the potential to travel abroad as part of your programs, the potential for employment opportunities and careers after your business degree. So we'll introduce Rob to talk first about the Bachelor of Business Studies.
Great, thanks Fergal. Welcome everyone. As Fergal said, my name is Robert Ford. I'm Director of Undergraduate Studies for the BBS, but I'm here today to talk to you about not just the Bachelor of Business Studies, but also International Business and the Law and Accounting degree. But we're quite limited with time today, so I don't want to kind of bore you with the specifics of all the details and all the programs and all the options, but rather I prefer to talk about what the programs can offer you in terms of what the options can give you. Fergal just talked about it there, that he came on the program because he didn't quite know what he wanted to do. And I think that's what's the best thing, because I'm also from BBS, and I discovered my colleague Kieran is going to speak to you next, is also did the BBS. And I think we all have our own versions of how we got here. Okay, so I think what these programs offer in terms of flexibility and in terms of choice is what I like to focus on. Now, I could regale you with sort of inspirational quotes about choice. I looked up Google today and they all seem to have a picture of sunrises for some reason. I don't know why that is. But really what I want to talk to you about is these programs we will help you choose what suits you here so that you can choose what you want to be out there. Okay, one of the most satisfying things that we do is when we see a student who discovers a job they didn't even know previously that it existed, and they realize that by the choices they took through that matched their personality, that matched their abilities, that they were perfectly prepared for that role that was their ideal job. Now, we've been around a while. I have, my colleagues have, and the Kemmy Business School has been around a while. And we know all of the business career opportunities that are available. But rather than give you a list and get you to choose one, what we want you is in a kind of way to help you choose the right career that suits you. So the two key factors when you're looking for a job, okay, are to discover what career suits you. First of all, and it's often overlooked, a clear understanding of who you are, a clear understanding of self. And once you understand that and you acquire the skill set that we will help you with, to be available to embrace your opportunity. I think those two things that help you give an understanding of yourself and to give you the skill set that will help you get that job that suits you best. Like 60,000 students are going to do their Leaving Cert this year. And very little differentiates any of them, if we're being honest. Besides your gladiatorial point system, which just feeds into bad habits, and that someone did history and another person did economics, there's very little difference between what students come into us. But I was doing a bit of maths today, and although every student that comes in is roughly the same, there is 700 different types of graduates that will come out. Not in terms of there's 700 graduates, there's 700 types of graduates. We have 5 major options, 14 minor and language options, and we have 5 different broadening modules. And that's just on the BBS program. International business has roughly about the same different number of pathways, but also it broadens into like sociology, politics, law, psychology. Okay, so there's a multitude of different angles that you can take that best suits you. Even law and accounting, the Fergal said we brush over. Law and accounting seems like it's a 2-option system, but the opportunities and choices in accounting and similarly in law leads you to hundreds of different types of careers. So, for example, I was trying to rack my brain today how we give an example of the type of students that we have. Like, you could be a marketing student that studies Japanese, that goes in Erasmus in Japan, works in a multinational in Dublin, working on a marketing scheme for the Asian market. Okay? Or you could be a human resource major who minors in informatics, who then helps in talent acquisition for a tech startup. You could be an accounting major who does globalization, who could, so I'm trying to remember all, it's so many of these. So yeah, study globalization, who could work with an NGO, who could then lobby governments to force multinationals to quantify and account for environmental degradation. You could be what I mentioned, economics and finance student, minor in financial services. You could trade on the bond market or equities market. Or you could be a risk and insurance major option who chose entrepreneurship as a minor because he didn't know what he wanted to do when he grew up. You could work with a specialty insurer on work placement, and then when you graduate, and then a couple of years down the line, become a lecturer and then have a chance to speak to you guys today. Okay, there is so many, and that's just 5 of 700 different pathways that you can choose that best suits yourself. So you will find it hard to find any 2 graduates that are the same. I think I might be going over time here. You might find it hard to, or you'll find it hard to find 2 graduates that are the same. Okay, and that's why our graduates are so employable. Employers want graduates who have made their own choices, found their own way, and have come across a job that suits them, that they're working for a reason of knowing rather than a reason of hoping. I understand choice is scary, but what we want to do and what we do on all of our business degrees here is that when you are faced with choice, it's not about whether or not the choice will give you an unfavorable outcome. It will be about a choice which is either considered good, better, or best. I know I sort of flew over the specifics of today. And again, they would take hours to talk about. I mean, the 700 permutations would just take too long to speak of. But if you wish to contact me, my name is Robert Ford. If you want to get in touch and ask, please do it at any time. But otherwise, thank you very much for letting me speak to you today, and take care. Oh, sorry, and I'd like to pass you on to my colleague Kieran Gallery. Sorry, Kieran.
Not at all, Rob. Thanks very much. Yeah, you're talking to another product of the system. I graduated in the early 90s, and we'll just leave it at that, with a Bachelor of Business Studies and French, majoring in accounting and finance. So yeah, I'm happy to be here tonight and to promote all of the undergraduate business programs to you. My spiel is going to be on the international aspects of the programs. As if the choices in modules that Rob mentioned aren't enough, you also have the option and the availability of internationalizing your course. The two main ways of doing so are, first of all, with your co-op experience, which is a paid 8-month work experience that all students will take as part of their course. We have had students placed in various businesses all over the world, from Japan to Luxembourg to France and Germany, all with different experiences, all with different exposures to various elements of business within their, I suppose, within their speciality. A lot of the times we send a good few students to Luxembourg, and while automatically you might think, oh God, that means it's financial services, what you'll actually find is that all of those big financial services firms require people within all aspects of their business, not just the financial services or the accounting, but also within the HR, within the marketing, within the management element as well. The other aspect then is with regards to the academic exchange. And this is one that is available across all programs, although it's compulsory as part of the BA in International Business. So what you'll find is that at the moment we have over 70 partners within Europe and a growing number of partners outside of Europe, where on an annual basis, we'll say for all our third years, we place them on academic exchange for 1 semester. So you could end up, having a placement in Texas A&M or Universidad de Chile in Santiago, or Universidad de Navarra in Pamplona in Spain, Corvinus University, University of Wollongong in Australia. The list is endless, but the idea is that you not only get a chance to experience a different academic culture, but also to make new friends, to experience different languages, different cultures as much as you need to. So what you find then is, because of the two elements, and especially I suppose with the BAIB, because you are required to go on an international academic placement followed immediately by an international work placement, what you find is that the difference between the student that leaves in second year and comes back in fourth year is just immense. They have grown so much in themselves and become so confident in themselves by taking that extra step and going that extra mile and going it alone in that international environment. It really, really does stand to them. The last thing that I'd just like to mention as well is something that is relatively new to both the BBS and the BAIB, and this is the opportunity to pursue a dual degree. Basically, we have partnerships set up with 5 particular universities, 3 in France, 1 in Warsaw in Poland, and the other one in Japan. And when you take this dual degree option, or if you decide to take the dual degree option, what will happen then is that instead of returning back to UL in fourth year, you will go back to that partner university. So effectively, you'll have 2 years in UL, 6 to 8 months on co-op, and then a year and a half in that partner institution. The idea being that by the time your 4 years is up, not only will you have a BBS or a BAIB from the University of Limerick, but you'll also have an equivalent degree from one of our partner institutions as well. So I guess, just to sum up, what I'd say is that not only will you have a variety of modules and experiences available to you within UL, but you also have the possibility of experiencing the big bad world out there from both a business or work perspective and from an academic perspective. So thanks very much for listening, and I'll now pass you off to Fergal again.
Thanks very much, Kieran, and thanks, Rob. I think those talks are very interesting in terms of the choices that are available to you. We're going to change focus a little bit now. We're deadly serious about the academic side of things here at the business school. In fact, we are accredited by 2 independent bodies that are a stamp of approval or a stamp of quality. They are AMBA and AACSB, and we're in the process of getting accredited by EQUIS. So in the short term, we're going to be triple accredited, a triple accredited business school, which will put us in the top 1% of business schools in the world. So that should give you confidence in terms of attending the business school at UL. Now, like I said, we're going to change focus and we're going to come to Ciara Fletcher now. So Ciara is a BA in International Business graduate with work experience in Luxembourg and an Erasmus year in Marseille. Ciara is currently studying for an MSc in Risk Management and Insurance at the Kemmy Business School. So she not only attended at undergrad, but liked it so much she's stayed with us for her postgraduate degree. So Ciara, we'd love to hear about your experience now. Thank you.
Hi guys, how are y'all doing? I'm delighted to be here this evening to share my experience. I know, say, filling out the CAO and figuring out what on earth you want to do with your life is very challenging, and I'm very delighted to be here to give my own experience, you know, from a student perspective. So when I was filling out the CAO myself, I was extremely indecisive about what I actually wanted to do. All I knew for certain was the fact that I wanted to travel, and I really didn't like the opportunity. I didn't really like the thought of giving that up in order to study a 4-year degree. It just seemed like a long distance to kind of wait for that to happen. So the Kemmy Business School really stood out for me, particularly the International Business degree, because I had that whole year abroad. So, for example, you have that 4-month Erasmus wherever you choose, and then the 8-month internship abroad also. So for my Erasmus, I went to KBS Business School in Marseille, France. So in that school, you actually have the option of doing the dual degree. So that means that you would have the 2 years in KBS Business School and then 2 years in the University of Limerick, and then you come out with degrees from both of them at the very end. So that looks really great on your CV by the end of it. Now, I chose France specifically because I was studying French, so it's really good idea to get immersed in the language. But I had friends that went to, for example, Chile, Budapest and Australia as well. So there's a really good variety of what you can choose from. For my cooperative placement then, I was in Schroders Investment Management in Luxembourg, which I absolutely loved. I was a due diligence intern there, so we developed an online platform for Schroders Investment Management, so it kind of made the onboarding process for clients a lot easier. So I kind of developed a lot of IT skills that I never thought I'd be interested in the first place. So then that was launched in Luxembourg, and then it was used globally for Schroders. On the fun side of things then, I absolutely love my time in Luxembourg. I lived in a house with 8 girls from the University of Limerick, and we travelled a load when we were there simply because Luxembourg is very central in Europe, and also you can get a lot of cheap flights. So for example, we went to the places like Nice, Paris, Milan, Budapest, Trier in Germany, Amsterdam, Monaco, Porto in Portugal, and London also. And then I also did a 3-day festival in Rotterdam, outside Amsterdam, and then a week-long festival in Malta called Lost and Found. So it was an incredible experience. I got to do all the traveling that I really needed to do to get out of my system. It was a really great opportunity for me. We did a lot of weekend trips, but some of those were possible to do in a day, so we didn't have to book time off work. For example, you get the train to Germany and you can get the bus to France. In terms of actually getting abroad then, it was so incredibly easy to sort with the help of Kemmy Business School. For example, when it came to Erasmus, I only had to just list out the 3 places that I would like to go, and then Kemmy Business School did the rest in terms of where I'd go. Same for my cooperative placement. I had a meeting with someone from the office. We kind of tweaked my CV, interview tips and all the rest. We kind of discussed about what I'd like to do and where I'd like to go, and then they sorted the rest. So I would just get an email of the details of the organisation and when the interview would be. So all I had to worry about was doing a good interview, and they did all of the kind of the technical side of things. On the college side of things, one thing that was really important, as the lads were saying as well, is that I didn't want a degree that would kind of pigeonhole me into one specific stream. So international business stood out to me because you can choose your modules as you go along. So essentially you can tailor your degree to what you want to do. So when I was filling out my CAO, I didn't really know what I wanted to focus on. I knew I had an interest in business because I did business studies in school and also economics, but I also had an interest in psychology and law that I wanted to explore. So with international business, you have the option to study both of them along with numerous other things. But what I found when I actually got to the University of Limerick is that I fell in love with risk management and insurance. And that's an area that I didn't even envision before I went into college. That's something I didn't even consider, wasn't on my radar. So I'm really grateful for the international business degree giving me the opportunity to explore that for myself and figure out for myself what I actually wanted to focus on. Currently now, as was mentioned, I'm doing a master's in risk management and insurance at the University of Limerick, and I'm also teaching tutorials to second-year business students. One thing that I would say is what Ciara mentioned about, when you go away for the year abroad, the difference in yourself. For example, my confidence has gained tenfold. I never would have envisioned myself standing here today and talking to people like this. I would never do public speaking. I'm just really grateful for the opportunity it kind of gave me. And then finishing up for example, January, I have a graduate program at Marsh, which I'm delighted about, and thanks to the help of Kemmy Business School. And that's all for me at the moment. I hope I've given you some kind of good insights into what it's like for a student.
Thanks very much for that, Ciara. I think your story is a great example of how somebody made their course work for them. University is different now maybe from when I was there. You really have lots of choices, and it's really up to you to determine what you do with those choices and how to make it work for you. It's interesting there that Ciara said that as part of her master's, she's teaching tutorials. That's actually how I started off and how I found my path into teaching. You also saw a video there for UL Sport. I mean, we're known as the sporting campus, and we're going to get a little bit biased towards GA as part of this call, but I mean, we do everything here. Obviously, we're linked with the Munster rugby team, and we've got a climbing wall, we've got a 50-metre pool. And by the way, there's loads of scholarships available for whatever sport you're interested in, particularly if you're operating at a high level. It's not just GA. If you're into Taekwondo and you're top class at it, well, then you have the potential to get a sports opportunity or a sports scholarship here. Anyway, like I said, we're going to bias a little bit towards GA tonight. And our next speaker is someone who very much benefited from the facilities on campus. He's David Morin, who completed his Bachelor of Business Studies, majoring in accounting, and went on to complete the MSc in Financial Services. So another example of somebody who stayed with us for their postgraduate experience. So for the past 5 years, David has held the role of partner in KC Stevenson Accountants in Tralee, where he specialises in audit and compliance and corporate transaction. David is well known for his participation in Gaelic football with the Kerry team, an All-Ireland winner, and from a club in Tralee that are big rivals to the club I'm from. But it still gives me great pleasure to introduce David Moran, who joins us by video.
Hi all, it's David Moran here. Apologies I can't join the session live tonight, but I'm more than happy to share this message. Just really endorsing the Kemmy Business School and the University of Limerick, and just giving you a little insight into my journey through the university and the impact it had, not just on my professional career, but also on my sporting career. Leaving school, I wanted to be an accountant and I wanted to play with Kerry. The latter was certainly far higher in my priorities. Rightly or wrongly, and I went to the University of Limerick, trying to try and get a good degree there and go on and be an accountant. But I certainly was far more worried about trying to get on the Kerry team and hopefully one day maybe try and win an Ireland. So for the first couple of years in university, it was fantastic. I was able to play with the Sigerson team. I did the business course there, which is obviously a very strong course. And in my third year then I was afforded a fantastic opportunity to go down to Cork to Ernst & Young, to their transaction advisory department, you know, and learn a lot and develop my professional acumen. And while I was down there, it was you know, a dream of mine. I was able to win their Ireland with Kerry, you know, and through the university support and the support of EY at the time, you know, it made it all possible that I was able to achieve both, you know, everything I wanted from a sporting career, but also that I wasn't neglecting the other side of the table. I was able to continue to pursue, you know, my academics and also, you know, my professional qualifications and life outside the GA and that. At the time, after I finished in EY, my co-op, I was due to go back to finish my degree my last year, but I was offered an opportunity to go to Australia and see that I want to try out and as a professional Aussie rules player with St Kilda. So certainly an opportunity I was really interested in pursuing. My thoughts of being an accountant were probably put on the back burner at the time, and I had different dreams on the other side of the world. So I was able to come to the you know, to the Kemmy Business School, and we went through the whole thing with them. And what was decided was that I was allowed to freeze my course for the year, and I was able to go to Australia and give it everything I had. You know, and come what may then, and you know, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure which one, I wasn't offered a contract, and I came back, and after a number of weeks, and the following September I was able to rejoin the course, you know, and I was able to try and get back on the Kerry squad, and you know, and I was able to still get the degree that I had always wanted to get, and also, you know, I was able to you know, line up my options for what I wanted after. I was obviously, there's, you know, plenty of guidance inside, and there was a lot of expertise in the Kemmy Business School of the markets and finance and accounting and all that, which is the area I wanted to specialise in. I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to do, and there's obviously fantastic masters there in the financial services, which I elected to do, and I studied, and you know, it was an experience I really enjoyed. It was a very difficult, tough course, which was a challenge, but along the way I was you know, I was able to achieve, you know, things from an educational and a professional perspective that I probably hadn't even addressed 5 and 6 years before that, or certainly not when I was on the plane to Australia. It wasn't something that was on my mind, but you know, I was able to graduate with a degree and a postgraduate master's from the university, and it put me in great, you know, it stood me in great stead from my career point of view. I was able to go back into EY, you know, where I did my co-op, and I went back and I joined their transactions advisory department again, and I qualified as an accountant. I had 3.5 fantastic years there, you know, and you know, I was able to get back in and keep playing with Kerry, and it was always my ambition to try and come home. And after 4 years in EY, I was offered an opportunity to come in to Casey Stevenson Limited here in Tralee as a direct entrant partner. You know, and I've been here at the bones of 5 years, and I'm very happy here. It's a very exciting time for this firm. You know, but when I look back, it's certainly not something I would have been able to achieve, I don't think, without the support of the Kemmy Business School, without, you know, them both facilitating everything I wanted from a sporting point of view, but also from a, you know, keep driving me and keep challenging me from a professional point of view, and not to just to make sure that I wasn't neglecting my professional or my educational side, just to concentrate all on football, you know, which is something that I suppose as a young guy with dreams of playing with Kerry, that was always in my head, and I'm very grateful that they pushed me on both sides. So look, I couldn't speak any more highly about the school and the university, and I suppose the asset test is that if I had my time all over again, I think I'd definitely do the same. Okay, thanks. Enjoy the rest of the session.
Yeah, it's great to have that input there from Dave. So he's another example of a student who continued his journey from undergraduate to postgraduate. And by the way, for the students on the call here, that's becoming more and more popular at third level now. that you do an undergraduate degree and then go on to either broaden or deepen in terms of your postgraduate education. So I suppose David's journey through the business school was also facilitated by a dedicated member of staff here, John Heenahan, who looks after our sporting people as such. You know, we do go out of our way to facilitate elite sports people to navigate their way through the program. And I think that's worthy in terms of what they're doing, and that ranges from Gaelic football players to international swimmers to whatever the sport might be that people are operating at an elite level. So next we're going to go to Allison Fitzgerald from UL Students Union, Student Life. Very, very strong, active body here in the university. And Allison is Vice President Academic Officer. She's from Limerick and graduated with a BA in Economics and Sociology. So Allison's role is actually to help students with any academic related queries and offer them support. And she's going to speak about that tonight, as well as the social side of life as a student in UL. So over to you, Allison.
Great, thanks a million, Fergal. Yes, hello everyone, I'm Allison. As Fergal said, I am the academic officer this year. So I suppose like a lot of you wouldn't know what a students' union was or is, and I actually didn't really either when I was in first year, second year. So I suppose just to tell you a bit about what we do and what we can help students with. Essentially, we're a representation body for the student voice. So we would sit on several committees within the university that would impact students, and we would make sure the student voice has been heard. And you know, we have a very strong input there, which is brilliant. And just in terms of like who I suppose the representation body is, it's myself. We have a welfare officer, a communities officer, and we have a president. So essentially between the four of us, all we do is we kind of like make sure the university is very inclusive to all students. We have a diverse range there within terms of equality, making sure that every student feels welcome and safe across campus. In terms of like mental health and well-being, we have our welfare officer, Pader, who students can more than happy come to with any situations they may face. Cian then is our president, who would sit on a lot of the upper authority committees of the university alongside the president, Kirsten May, and our VPs, and just making sure the student voice is very much heard at top level, which is great. And, you know, it's really important when we're very honoured to have that opportunity. And then I suppose in terms of myself, what I do to help students is make sure that they have like the smoothest academic, I suppose, process that they can, and making sure their academic experience at UL is, you know, as good as it can be. And I suppose when things go, you know, slightly wrong, or students are feeling a bit under pressure, or, you know, you feel the stress of exams, particularly this year with the online learning, I'm essentially just here for a chat and kind of like just to make sure that, you know, calm them down and like kind of talk about their options in terms of like coming into UL. You know, there's options there to change course sometimes, or if you're kind of panicking that you didn't major in the right options, I essentially would be a party there to help you kind of be a mediator between like your course director and yourselves. If you're not feeling comfortable about going to lecture yourselves, I would then come in and try and I suppose speak on behalf of you. So essentially I'm just here to really help and make sure that you feel comfortable and that you're getting the best academic experience you possibly can. So that's kind of the more serious side of things, but obviously in terms of the more fun and social sides, obviously we are in charge of Freshers Week, which is like a massive week for first years. We hand out Freshers packs with loads of goodies. There's loads of events on in normal times, so I'll probably talk about normal times. So hopefully come September and next year, it'll be quite normal for you. But in terms of that, we have loads of events on in the courtyard. We have a load of DJs or concerts on. The stables is right next to our students' union. Obviously, you can go in and get a pint there when you're of age and have the crack there, and it's a great way to make friends. And as well, in our students' union, we have loads of pool rooms upstairs, and there's just like a really cool like chill out zone that you can like meet people and chat. And loads of our clubs and societies will be around there. So I suppose just in terms of like what UL has to offer in terms of clubs and societies, it's really daunting, obviously, coming up to UL, especially if you don't know a lot of people and you're like, oh my God, I don't have any friends. Literally, there's nothing to be worried about. Everyone is so open and welcome, and there's so many clubs and societies, as you saw in the video before. Like we have a surfing club, we have outdoor pursuits and kayaking. We also have a trampolining, and I actually just found out we had a skydiving club, which is class. And there's always usually loads of like trips around Ireland, and sometimes the surfing club goes across Europe. So I think they went to Morocco a few years ago, and like there's just so many opportunities there to make friends, and like as they said, start off as something brand new. If you don't know how to do it or you're not into it, they'll train you or they'll like teach you how to do things. In terms of societies, so diverse. Like we have an entrepreneurship society, we have an Out in UL, which is our LGBTQ plus society. There's a musical theatre society, a law society. I could go on and on. There's like literally something for everyone. In terms of facilities on campus, like as you said, we have a climbing wall, we have the stables, we have the Scholars Club, which are like 2 pubs, but at the same time we have like loads of walks on campus. There's so many pitches, so like there's loads of sports and activities always going on. There's like every week there is an event in normal times, obviously, but in terms of like online, we've obviously had to adapt. We've had loads of like cool quizzes online and stuff, and just had chats and speakers, and kind of made the best of a bad situation, I suppose, to put it lightly. So yeah, I suppose just like what a students' union is we're here to represent, as I said, student voice, and like make sure you're seen and you're heard, and like everyone feels welcome and they can speak up and speak out and be heard, which is really important. But on the fun side of things, UL has so much to offer. Like I'm from Limerick, and I love Limerick, but I've made so many friends from different counties because of going to UL, and that was something I was quite nervous about personally, because I was like, oh, will I make new friends? Will I like explore? You literally will be forced to do, because there's so many things going on. You're going to run into someone new probably every single week, and that's the great thing about it, like the community. And that's why I went and ran for the Students' Union, because I did my 4 years in UL, and I was like, do you know what? I haven't had enough. I want to kind of stick around and make sure students are seen and heard, and kind of just have that good experience, and you know, have the crack and the banter that we all want. And I'm really happy I did it. So yeah, I think that's all from me. Obviously, if you have any questions for us, or you want to find out more clubs and societies we have on offer, or events in particular, please check out our website, UL Student Life, or you can send me an email on studentacademic@ul.ie. So thanks very much.
Okay, so now we're going to go and do a bit of a tour of the campus accommodation. We're going to go to Kilmurry. That's actually where I lived in the first year, and I had a great time, and since then they're after doing it up. So Kilmurry is about maybe 5 minutes walk or so to like the main part of campus, and on my right then is like the big UL sports arena, and actually part of that is the Munster kind of like rugby training area as well. You got loads of pitches down here you can use. There's a tennis court there as well. So there's actually really like lots of nice amenities. If you're first year coming onto campus for the first time, really good idea to stay on campus accommodation. You're going to have a good time.
So as Patrick said, we're just going to take you on a quick tour of one of the student houses here in Kilmurry Student Village. So as you said again, they've recently been done up, so everything is state of the art, brand new and really clean and lovely. So firstly, I'm just going to show you one of the bedrooms. Again, really spacious, lots of storage, everything you might possibly need if you're moving away from home and choose to study here. Nice big bed, lovely seating area, nice desk, really fast Wi-Fi, which you need for all of your assignments and all of your study. So that's pretty much the rooms, really nice. Now I'm just going to take you through to the new bathrooms, all state of the art. Just a quick show. Nice power shower, really spacious, really clean, everything you could possibly need. And I'm just going to show you the kitchen as well. Again, super spacious. Listen to that echo, super spacious. Nice big dining area, all the storage you could possibly need, two fridges, and a nice big living area. So if you're going to have mates around, if you're going to bond with your new housemates and make new friends, you have all the space you need.
And now we're in the village hub, which wasn't here when I was here. I think it's only here in the last maybe a couple of years. But really decent spot. Yeah, like if you're after making a bit of dinner, bit of scran, something like that, you can come up here, chill with your mates. There's like 3 50-inch TVs, and then to close right, my right, there's a pizza machine. It's worth mentioning also that next to the village hub there's a laundrette, and now we're going to start walking towards the sports arena just to show you how close it is to this village. The apartment that we were checking out is just down there, and then if we basically just walk up this way, the reception is to the right of where Clodagh is walking now with the yellow backpack, and then over on this side we have got the sports arena, the Munster gym, and literally just over that hill right there, actually I'll go up for the hell of it, we have got the running track. Over the running track then there's like a whole host of AstroTurf pitches, and basically past where the arena is, which is straight in front of me, is all the college lecture halls.
Thanks, Alison, for that. I think you gave a great insight into clubs and societies and the supports that the Students' Union give. I even think I heard of a tea appreciation society at one stage. So I mean, even if you're into something odd, you can set up your own stuff depending on the sign-ups that you can get. And I think that video just gives you a brief insight into what a beautiful campus we have here. I always say it allows you to be mentally fit and it allows you to be physically fit as well, so if you so choose. Now I'm going to hand you over to another type of student, a very different type of student in many ways, a very entrepreneurial student. It's Jack O'Connor, a third-year student on the BAIB. So Jack's currently on a gap year to manage all of his many projects. Just shows you how busy he is. He's a keen interest in sustainable development. He's the founder of social enterprise Moyo Nua, which improves agriculture practices for smallholder farmers across sub-Saharan Africa. Jack previously served as Ireland's Youth Delegate to the United Nations in 1920, when Ireland was successful in winning a seat on the UN Security Council. Jack also has interest in equitable access to education as an access student through UL's HERE programme and as a Desh School alum. Jack, it's up to you now.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Fergal. I appreciate that. So, hi everybody. Yes, so as Fergal said, it's I've actually just completed my gap year, so I'm back full time in the university now, in the BAIB course, and as well as that, I'm also registered for the dual degree program in France. I suppose it's important to kind of rewind back to the very beginning. So when I was in 6th year, it's like I always like to tell people, and I always make sure to tell people, I'm not an academic person whatsoever. It's, as you probably already noticed. Like a couple of days before the leaving cert, I was out drinking pints. I really don't focus on the academic side of things. So I chose international. I wanted to choose business first of all. I think similar to what Fergal said was because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a very good interest in business and on the entrepreneurship side of things, but I had no idea what direction I wanted to go into. Which kind of brings us forward to why I chose UL, I suppose, first and foremost. It was the two options which have been kind of mentioned for the entirety of the night. It was the co-op placement and it was like Erasmus/dual degree. It was just get that experiential learning and to get out there and to experience life and to experience what college really has to offer. In terms of how I got into university, it's been mentioned there. So I got in on reduced points. I didn't actually get the points I needed to get into the international business course, but due to my background, it's like I went to Desh School. I got into the access program, and there's a HERE scheme option, there's a DARE scheme option. There's going to be a lot of different talks about that if you are relevant for those things. But as well as that, I'm in on a SUSI maintenance grant, so finance in the family would be pretty low. So there are ways and means of getting into university if you do have those challenges. But when I went into UL, I suppose similar to my own wants and interests, I wanted to learn about things. So I think it was Robert who mentioned the possibilities to engage into of politics and international relations, and I really jumped into that role and took on a lot of those modules as much as I could in first year and second year. But what I did was I joined Enactus UL, which is a society on social entrepreneurship. And what I did was I brought on a project that I had done in 6th year actually from the BT Young Scientist, which was that project that's now in operation. I'll get to that. But with regards to the project, or through Enactus UL, first and foremost, actually, it's most important to say there are a lot of different trips. I know Allison mentioned there, of all the various trips that you can go on and get involved in. I mean, through Enactus in UL, I've presented a project in Silicon Valley. I've gone to Mexico on the back of that. We even got a Forbes feature off the back of the project work, which has happened inside the University of Limerick. So, lots of different areas and lots of different experiences there, which really suited me. But I suppose from my time at university, I still wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. I had my mind and my horizons expanded from learning the international relations, the politics side of things, and I also got to learn a lot from those experiences within Enactus UL. So as Fergal mentioned, I decided to take a gap year, and was very fortunate to be selected as Ireland's UN Youth Rep. But what that meant was I came back and I really had a better sense of understanding of what I wanted to do. I suppose the majority of people take the gap year before college. I decided to take it halfway through. It's just goes to show one of the many different ways you can go about university, the experience there. But long story short, came back and launched a project which was in Enactus UL across rural Malawi in collaboration with the UL Foundation, which financially supports us, and as well as that with Gold Global, the international charity. I think that acts as a pretty good segue as to what I'm currently doing. So right now I'm on co-op, which is the UL work placement, and I'm doing that through Gold Global. Now, none of that would have been possible if it hadn't been from my experiences within the university and experiences within the societies of Enactus inside in UL. But for context, like what I'm doing on co-op at the moment is I'm working in a Dublin, international charity base in Dublin focusing on work over in Malawi, you know, like an entirely different continent, on a project that was developed, created, implemented within the University of Limerick by students. And I think that really does sum up everything that UL has to offer, especially the Kemmy Business School. That's a very random example, you know, and I'm very aware of that, but it just goes to show how all of these things can tie in together, and how the various different things, whether it's society, academics, the extracurricular, all comes into play and helps develop you as a person. I suppose kind of like, I'm conscious of wrapping up now, but in terms of that, in terms of the dual degree and the academic side of things, I am due to go to Cambridge Business School, which has been mentioned a couple of times here tonight, in the south of France. So I'll be completing my final year there come August. And that's going to be the end of my undergraduate journey. You know, it took 5 years, so obviously with that gap year in the middle. But I suppose what I want this to be an example of is that there are so many different ways of going about your time within university, and UL is a prime example of allowing you and providing you with those opportunities to kind of figure things out as you go along. Like going from the leaving cert of not having a clue whatsoever, you know, joining business because I just wanted to learn things and I want to learn a bit more about co-op and travel a bit, to now having this current experience and to now having these understandings of where I want to be. And as well as that, like, you know, building the CV, building the professional skills and the personal skills, it's and having the crack along the way, you know, like Jesus could tell you plenty of stories about, you know, having fun and the socializing aspect. And, you know, those trips I think stand testament to that. But you know, I do kind of hope it just gets to show you don't need to know exactly what you want to do when you're going into third level in general, but UL is certainly a good place to start. So Fergal, I'll hand it back to you.
That's great. Thanks very much, Jack. I think that's a really, really good story around, you know, learning outside the classroom. I'm a big believer in the university experience resulting in you learning as much from your peers and outside the classroom as well as in the classroom. And I think Jack's story there illustrates that. So we're going to move things on to keep on schedule. We're going to go to another video now from a sporting great. Tom Morrissey is a graduate of the BBS program and MA in Taxation and is a hurler with the Limerick Senior Hurling Team. He was part of the team that won the first All-Ireland title for Limerick in 45 years in 2018 and was nominated for an All-Star award later that year. Again, because of training commitments, a bit like David earlier, he can't be with us, but he's sent us in this video.
Hi guys, sorry I can't be with you tonight, but I'm caught up with training, but I'm more than happy to be part of this event with the Kemmy Business School. I suppose looking back, my Kemmy Business School experience started off in 2014 when I studied business in UL. I think the main reason why I selected to study business in UL was really when I was your age at being 17, 18, going through secondary school, and I knew I had a kind of a flair for business. I studied the three main, I suppose, core business subjects in secondary school, being accounting, economics, and business itself. And while I knew I wanted to go down business, I wasn't certain of which exact and specific area in business that I wanted to pursue. And when it came to time to filling out the CAO form, something that you'll all be doing soon enough, I think that was one thing that struck with me, that I wanted to get a course that kind of allowed me get a taste for maybe all different business areas, which is exactly what business study does. You know, you get to test each of the 5 core business areas, being accounting, economics, insurance, marketing, and human resources. And I think when I look back on my experience of the course, that was definitely one of my favorite things about it. As I said, I wasn't really sure which one I wanted to do, but business in UL, I suppose the first 2 years of the course, you don't select which specific area you want to go into. Instead, you get a taste for each of those 5 areas that I said. And it's not until third year you decide on which one you're going to major in and I suppose focus on. So I really, you know, like that the idea of that and getting experience in loads of different areas and being sure then when it did come to the decision time of which one you wanted to do, you had a fair idea which one you wanted. Outside of the classroom or the lecture hall, which it'll be when you go to UL, you know, another factor that I decided it was just for the top class, you know, college that it is and campus that it is. And I suppose specifically for me, the top class sporting campus that it is. You know, their facilities for me are definitely the best in Ireland. and they range from 3D pitches and that cater for all sports. They have an Olympic swimming pool, an Olympic diving pool, running tracks, both outdoor and indoor. You know, if you name it, and UL probably have it. So whatever sport you're into, you know, they have a high performing environment that, I suppose for me, I just wanted to be around that and be involved in that. And that was one of the huge attractions for me to go to UL also. Just to wrap up then, just a message for our students listening tonight. I know you'll either be sitting the Leaving Cert this year or in the next year or two. And at the moment it's a bit unpredictable whether it'll be a continuous assessment or your typical and traditional exams in June. So just a little bit of advice I would give to you is just to make sure that you stay tipping along from the start, and that you're gaining knowledge each and every single day. Just put a little focus, a little bit of study in terms of a different subject each night, and just tipping along nicely, building your knowledge. And I suppose when it comes to then either a continuous assessment or the exams in June, you'll be ready because you will have that knowledge built up over a period of time. Lastly, thanks very much to the Kemmy Business School for having me. I hope tonight's a great success and I hope you all enjoy it. Cheers, guys.
That's great. I think it's good insight again there from Tom, and we really appreciate him sending in that video. I think Tom, look, he mentioned the CAO there and change of mind is coming up. Look, there's no doubt that we'd love you to come to UL, but it's very important that I say this. I think UL is a great choice in terms of a campus, in terms of a university, and the business school in particular. We do a really good job academically here. We also are very keen that our students have a brilliant experience. So yes, we want you to come here. We want you to choose us for a CAO. But listen, one really important thing here before I open the Q&A is, and this might be comforting to parents on the call as well, and you'll have to trust me on this, the choice that you make at CAO will not define you for the rest of your life. And that's more and more true as time progresses and the world of work changes, etc. But we'd still like you to make the best decision possible at the time. So look, we're here to help. We're open for questions here now, if you want to type them in. I'm going to probably come back to Rob or Kieran in a minute just to summarise some of the questions that have been in already. One thing I think has been a theme tonight, and I just wanted to clarify, yes, we have loads of options. You can pick and choose, you can tailor your courses. That doesn't mean that we're not incredibly focused when we make those choices. Okay, so once you've established what you want to do as part of a business degree, say on the BBS, you pick accounting and finance like I did, you'll get a brilliant accounting and finance education. And you'll have plenty of opportunities outside of the classroom to learn as well. Similarly, on the BAIB, you can keep it broad if that's your choice, or you can narrow it down if that's your choice. So while there's lots of choice there, it doesn't mean that it's a bit kind of, oh, do a bit of this, do a bit of that. It's all quite casual. No, we just give you the space to figure out what you want to do. Okay, so look, the Q&As are there. I'm going to pass you back first to Kieran, and maybe Kieran might summarise a little bit with respect, maybe not in huge detail on the partners that are available, maybe a little bit about the language and whether you have to choose it or not as part of the BAIB. And then I'll come back and we'll ask Rob to clarify a few things on the BBS. So over to you, Kieran.
Perfect. Thanks, Fergal. Yeah, there've been great questions coming in. A lot of them potentially specific, a lot of them quite general, but yeah, a good few questions just in relation to the language aspects of heading abroad studying, specifically with regards to whether or not you need to be studying the language in the country where you want to go. So for example, if you want to head to Spain on your international academic placement, does that mean you need to be studying Spanish? Absolutely not. The vast majority of our partners, both in Europe and abroad, deliver their programs through English. Now, having said that, if you are studying a language, and for example, we'll just keep Spain there, if you're studying Spanish and you want to maybe push yourself that small bit to improve your Spanish, then absolutely we do have partners that give you the opportunity to take some or all of your subjects while you're abroad in Spanish. And again, we have the same opportunities in both France and in Germany as well. The same thing comes up with regards to dual degrees. People wanted to know, do you need to have the local language to do the dual degree? The answer is absolutely not. Again, the courses are delivered through English, but having said that, they do give you maybe an introductory course in the local language so that at least, you know, you can get on the right bus or buy a loaf of bread or whatever. But yeah, some really, really good questions coming in, and keep them coming. And absolutely, if we can't answer them here and now, by all means, we'll be putting up details later on where we'll be able to answer them via email later on. So thanks for it.
That's brilliant, Kieran. Thanks. So keep the questions coming in. I'm just going to go over to Rob now for a second. I noticed a couple of questions around should you have studied business studies before, and maybe Rob might just outline again the 5 major options just to give people a sense of what you can do or specialise in as part of your business degree with us. So over to you, Rob.
Thanks, Fergal. Yeah. So yeah, I probably sort of skirted over that myself when I had the chance. So the 5 major options are marketing, human resources, economics and finance, accounting and finance, and risk and insurance. So those are your 5 ones. But even when you come in first year, you're taking core business modules of which there is no expectation that you have done them in the Leaving Cert. I think that was a popular question as well. Like, I mean, my first degree was in environmental science. I didn't do any business topics before I came on the BBS. So we assume no first year has done any business topics. And I think Fergal, you replied to one message there where he said that in fact, those that haven't done it before tend to exceed because they probably work a little harder than the rest. They don't sort of rest on their laurels. But I think we give you a taste, and something, sorry, I forgot to mention in my presentation. We give you a taste of everything before you have to choose when it comes to the BBS. In the international business, you do have to make choices a little bit earlier. And so there is that kind of, that's why we tend to have different students on those programs. Some people, they kind of have a fair idea of the genres of business they'd like to pursue, and they will go into international business. Whereas, like me, BBS students go, I want to do something in business. I want options. I want the tasting menu, almost like a restaurant, tasting menu before I order the main course. So I think that's perhaps the best way. But that would definitely be the core question about previous study of business. The other one, of course, I'm really excited to see how many people are desiring to go abroad on Erasmus. I think that shows a maturity and an adventurous nature and a willingness to embrace as much education and culture as possible. That's really enthusiastic. It's really, really great to see as well. And we'll answer all those questions and get back to all those people as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Rob. I have one more for you, and it's in the sidebar from Sarah. And it's law and accounting, which is very important for us to mention here tonight. And Sarah notes, all right, that it's pretty much a 50-50 split. But can you talk a little bit about it, Rob, in terms of law and accounting and how it's slightly different from the other 2 programs, which have maybe a little bit more choice built in?
Spot on, Fergal. Thanks very much. I was on mute. So yeah, I teach insurance law. So I do have an understanding of the law side of things. So you go in and you get some accounting modules, you get some law modules, and then you get a feeling of which way you prefer to go. So if you get on the accounting route, you can pursue tax, financial analysis, accountability, or you can go down the law side and you can pursue civil law, family law, criminal law, corporate law. There's any multitude of variations of the law side of things that you could pursue. So then you kind of steer towards a specialization where you could do your professional exams in accounting or do your professional exams and your Black Halls or Kings in law as well. So either option steers you towards the professional side of things of getting your professional exemptions and being not just academically qualified, but also industry qualified for that particular interest.
Thanks, Rob. So listen, we're going to wrap it up now, and thanks for everybody that attended here tonight. So if there are questions we didn't get to, don't worry, we've captured all of them. We're going to send out an email tomorrow with information on our programs and contact details for us in the KBS to everybody who attended and registered tonight. So we'll also make a recording of the event available, so nobody's going to miss out on anything, even if they joined late. So what we've tried to do here tonight is to present you with a taste of what college life at the Kemmy Business School is like. We're here to support students on their journey and add to their experience. And I think from what you've heard tonight, you should appreciate that a bit better. We aim to provide for many types of learning experiences, not just the academic. We're interested in the holistic development of students. In 2019, KBS ran the first university TEDx event in the region with the help of 2 students on our BAIB programme. We also featured a KBS student as one of our speakers. Now Elaine will share that video in the chat and make it probably as part of her communication as well tomorrow. So look, my parting message is there are many opportunities open to you if you choose business at UL, inside and outside the classroom. Do your own research. We've obviously put our best foot forward tonight. Check us out, interrogate what we've said, ask lots of questions. We're here to help. So it just remains for me to thank everybody. Thanks to Rob, Kieran, Ciara, Dave, Allison, Jack and Tom for giving up their time to be part of the event. A big thanks to Elaine Milan and Erin King for coordinating and producing the event and making my life easy and all of the speakers easy. And thank you in particular for joining. Our socials will be shared in the chat. Please follow us. It'll give us an opportunity to communicate with each other. And we're going to leave you with a final video after which the event will end. So thank you again, and we'll be in touch, and hopefully you will be too. Good night.